Hello students, welcome to my classroom. In this video, I'm going to talk about the concept of trigonometry and just a basic introduction about trigonometry. Now, basically, tri means three, like a triangle. So it means three or study of triangles. Basically, metry means measurements. So we are trying to look at the measurements of a right angle triangle, mostly in the field of trigonometry. Now, trigonometry has a lot of uses in construction, in engineering, and calculating, for example, calculating the height of any very tall building. New York, as they say, is a city of skyscrapers. So, to calculate the height of those buildings, a lot of trigonometry is used, and that is why we teach it to you at this level. So, here we are looking at a right angle triangle where one of the angles here is a right angle. Now, you understand that two angles of a triangle cannot be right or 90-degree. Right means a 90-degree angle. Why? Because then the other angles will not be existing. If both are 90, sum of angles of a triangle is 180, and we cannot have another angle which is 0 degree. So other angles will be definitely less than 90. So a right angle triangle is a triangle which has one angle 90 degree. So a right triangle has one angle 90 degree. Now, another theorem that goes hand in hand whenever we start with trigonometry is called the Pythagoras theorem. And Pythagoras was a mathematician about 2000 years ago, and he studied right angle triangles, and he came up with a theorem that holds true for right angle triangles. And I have drawn one of the very basic Pythagorean right triangle in front of you. um, what was amazing with the history of Mr. Pythagoras was that think about it, there was no internet at that time. There were no, I don't think there were any tools to cut paper if paper was invented. um, he studied right angle triangle. He may have drawn right angle triangles on the floor, in the sand, on the walls, or used some stones to study. So it's pretty impressive that he came up with this theorem which says that the square of the two smaller sides of a right angle triangle, so the two smaller sides I'm taking are 3 and 4, will be always equal to, remember it's square, so will always be equal to the square of the longest third side. So that's the longest third side. So let us check if that is true according to Mr. Pythagoras. So the square of 3 is 9, plus the square of 4 is 16. That should be equal to square of 5, which is 25. Let us check. 16 plus 9 is 25. So that means his logic is working here, that when we square the two smaller sides, we get the bigger side square. Now let us try the same thing on another right angle triangle. So we will clear this off, and we will have another right angle triangle going. So drawing is not it's to scale, because I'm not sure if I have really drawn it as a right angle, but you know what I mean. All right, so this is a right angle. This, usually the angle at the base, is also called theta. That's just a Greek name for an angle. And we will take the two sides as 6 and 8, and this side is 10. So let us check if this triangle is a Pythagorean triangle, if this holds true or not. So 6 squared, the square of two smaller sides, is equal to the sum of square of two smaller sides is equal to the square of bigger side. So 6 squared is 36, plus 8 squared is 8 times 8, which is 64, equals 10 squared is 100. 36 plus 64 is also 100, which is equal to 100. So yes, this is also holding true for a Pythagorean triangle. Now, I would also challenge you to make up your own Pythagorean triangle. And it's a really fun activity because you'll come up with some numbers here on your own. No calculator will be allowed. So try to make numbers from 1 through 20, pair them up, and as the two smaller sides, and see if the square comes out to be the third side that you have chosen. So, in other words, what I'm trying to say is I want you to think of three numbers and take them as the longest side and check if it holds true for Pythagorean theorem. So that is a challenge in this video for you. I will also want to share with you one more thing about the Pythagoras theorem, and then we'll be done for this video. So the other thing is, at times students, they will give you one side and they would want you to find the other side. So let us say they give you one side here as, I will just keep the basic triangle only for now. So 3 and 4, and they want you to find the other side. So what you can do is you'll do the square of 3 using Pythagorean theorem plus the square of 4 equals, this is called hypotenuse. So we will just call it h. I'll actually make another video where I'm sharing all the names of the sides of a right triangle and the trigonometric ratios. So here is h squared, hypotenuse squared. So 3 squared is 9 plus 4 squared is 16 equals 8 squared. Now 16 plus 9 is 25 equals 8 squared. So which number when squared gives me 25? That is 5. So the other way is you can square root both the sides. So the answer for h is 5. So whenever they want you to find out the longer side, you can always add them, add the sides, and you'll always have the longer side. But what if they give you the smaller side to calculate? So let us say they just give you 10 and 8 here, and you have to calculate this one. Now for questions like that, your work will be set up like this. This is x. We do not know what x is, so I've taken this as x. According to Pythagoras theorem, x squared plus 8 squared, the other side squared, equals 10 squared. So here, students, because the hypotenuse is given to us, we will be subtracting. 8 squared is 64 and 10 squared is 100. Now, because I need to find x, I need to isolate x. So I will do the same melodrama of a linear equation, how I solve it. X squared equals 100 minus 64 is 36. And we square root both sides. And x equals 6. So always remember, students, whenever they want you to calculate the hypotenuse, you add. Whenever they want you to calculate the smaller side, you always subtract or take it to the other side and subtract it. So pretty simple. In this video, we did talk about the Pythagoras theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That means the a and b are the smaller sides, and c is the longer side or hypotenuse. And we learned how to calculate the missing side of a right angle triangle if they are not provided. So hopefully it made some sense. If you find a mistake, I'll be happy to rectify it. Come and let me know. And happy learning. I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Have a good one.